are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Wanzo.
And I'm your other host, Sean Paul Leek.
Together we are Raw Break. How's every single one of you, family? Welcome to another episode of our show. This time we're going to be talking about NXT 2.0. The show that is still in development. You know, there's the third week that they're doing this, so there's a lot of things that maybe they could improve. They were introducing a lot of new people, so they're changing the complete focus and the theme of the show, with newer stars. So we're still getting used to all these guys. But despite that, maybe some good things like Brownbreaker, right, Paul?
Yeah, Brownbreaker. Every week he's the star. It's one of those things the only thing wrong with him is his name, but the guy, he's one of those. Okay, this is the clear, the biggest rising star of this brand. We still have Tommaso Ciampa, and we still have some other good pieces here on the show. Kyle O'Reilly, Pete Dunne, and but just the rest of the show, it just feels like Monday Night Raw to me. It's like a 2-hour Monday Night Raw with some legit people on it, but how long till they last? Till they go?
It's true, absolutely. So, family, thank you for being with us one more time. Thank you for the subscriptions, for the comments, love that you give us on the social media waves. Don't forget, we're absolutely everywhere. Just follow us under the original rubric. And Paul, tell me a little bit about the review that we did. That we went live talking about Extreme Rules 2021.
Yeah, normal rules or regular rules,
exactly.
Or whatever you want to call this show. I guess Extreme Rules. It was an extreme letdown in the main event. We liked a couple matches on this show. We said the tag team match was legit, should have been an Extreme Rules match. We liked Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, said the same thing, but then we saw Sasha Banks return, so that was good again. So some good stuff on this show, no doubt. But then we get to the main event here, and we see, a good match, and then the rope breaks, and not the legit rope breaks. No, the rope falls apart where Finn Balor was set up for the coup de grace. He was probably going to beat Roman Reigns, so an awful finish. Unless they do some kind of storyline where Heyman was behind that, he calls somebody in to screw with the rope.
To loosen up.
But if they completely just ignore that, it was just awful booking, bad ending. Yeah.
Exactly. So, family, watch that. We have the Spanish version also with me. So, you're talking about, it's absolutely the same thing, but it's just in a different language. Exactly. So, let's talk about the beginning of the show, because the Hit Row opened up, with a lot of, back and forth, just talking, showcasing what it's going to be. The show was mainly focused on the women, because we're going to have a lot of women's matches here in the beginning, no disqualification. Even they do Extreme Rules, or they use chairs and all of that. So Elektra Lopez against Febab. So it was going to be the beginning. Then we got the Tag Team Women's Championship, and in the end we're going to close with the NXT Women's Championship. So tell me a little bit about this match between Elektra Lopez and Febab. Elektra, for me, she has a lot of potential future. She seems like she's going to start developing, and they're going to start pushing her. And the physique, everything calls for her to kind of be a potential good figure on NXT 2.0.
Yeah, and before we get into the match, I don't know what with the fact that the show went over 10 o'clock and how long this promo went in the beginning, where they were just putting everybody over and they talked for what seemed like forever. I'm like, what is this for? I don't need this. Let's see some action. If you're going to start with this match, this no disqualification match between these two, let's see it. And, once we finally got there, I love Legado's music too. To me, that music is badass every time I hear it. And, like you said, Elektra Lopez, she's thick. She's got the extra slices of brisket on that sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but she's powerful. He comes out there and, they beat the hell out of each other. Like you said, this was Extreme Rules. This wasn't I use a kendo stick. I mean, B-Fab whacked the hell out of her with a kendo stick. And, Elektra Lopez put her through a chair. She did another suplex slam onto a chair. Some brutal stuff. And, you're kind of surprised by it. And you're like, well, this is kind of badass at the same time. And, she gets the big win, kind of like the Phantom Driver. 1, 2, 3. And the right winner here. I was scared for a little bit that B-Fab was going to win. But then at the end, when you really saw the dominance from Elektra Lopez, you're like, all right, no, she's going to win. And I'm glad she did. And, I guess this means this continues. I don't know. I hope not. But, they did, what's his name? Swerve Scott, he did say that nobody's called him out for his title besides Santos. So
the only person that is not defending is me again, and everybody, in unison, they did that. We'll see. I mean, like Electra, like I said, like there's gonna be a lot of call-ups, family. So like we're gonna also forewarn you that starting on Friday with SmackDown and then on Monday with Monday Night Raw,
and we'll be going live at 10 o'clock. So
yeah, exactly. So there's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be a lot of like call-ups and stuff like that. So like they're gonna try to push these newer storylines because there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be called up to the main roster. We'll see if they are going to be successful. If they can do something with them, we'll see. But at least Elektra Lopez is like being a solid figure now for Legado del Fantasma. It's becoming an asset, becoming somebody important in the group, and it already showcasing for me, the other two members outside of Santos Escobar. So we'll see, but like good match. And the feud, I hope that this not continue. I hope they stop because it's just it's a bad feud. But we'll see what happens. So let's go down to Johnny Gargano and the honeymoon from Dexter Lumis and also Indy Hartwell, and they're in the beach. All of this is all the comedy skits that they do. I mean, Johnny Gargano has lowered down instead of being a fighter now, so he does these things. I don't know if he's going to stay in the NXT, NXT 2.0. We'll see what happens. But like he then realizes that like they probably are going to consume the marriage, right, Paul? And he goes and he's like he said, oh, they need protection. Oh, but Dexter is ready. He has a lot of it. He goes, oh, like he's going to be dehydrated. Hopefully, he has enough water and stuff like that. So I mean, what do you think about these kids? I mean, they're okay, like you said, they're fine. I'm not a big fan of them, but they have to switch it up.
I mean, they definitely made me laugh at some parts. Then Gargano, he hides in the closet and he can't really see what's going on, and they're having a pillow fight, but she's like, oh, harder, because Dexter's barely hitting her with the pillow, so Gargano thinks they're banging, and he's like, oh God, and he's all like, disgusted, and then he tries to sneak out, and you see Loomis wakes up, gives him the thumbs up. And I mean, if I'd be lying if I wouldn't say I didn't crack a smile or laugh during some of these, but it really doesn't, again, it doesn't belong on a wrestling show. It feels like I'm watching like two different shows, at the same time. Like I'm watching the Gargano comedy show, and then it's like, oh yeah, there's also wrestling on. That's
the main thing.
Wrestling, but
yeah, like I mean, like the transitions are like a little like I don't want to say bad, but it's just like you say, it's way too way too funny. Or way too committed.
Again, but also, everything usually in wrestling, it always starts out somewhere and it's leading to something. What is this leading to?
Yes.
That's
like you said, any one of them.
Is this going to be Gargano and Loomis as a tag team, and they're going to be tag team champs? Is like if that's what this leads to? I'm not defending it and saying it's good, but okay, at least there's an ending. So far, I think
it's going to be something that we can use. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens, but let's move to Joe Gazi. He had like a promo last week, and then he has another promo right here. This reminds me of Elias Paul, so I'm like completely uninterested on this because it's like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Gazi. It just reminds me of Elias. So like the guy tries to like have a character here, and I feel that like the one thing that like WWE tries to do mostly is now portray characters rather than wrestlers. So maybe in this case, I don't know if it's going to work on that.
Since the 80s.
Yeah, again, like I don't know, but I'm just not a big fan of this. But like he's just talking about the new generation, pointing out everybody. So what did you think?
No, I didn't care for this at all. It's hard to get into this guy. I don't know how much South Park you watch, but he's like PC principal, like the politically correct principal, but like a wrestler here. He tries to go, despite what other people say, and he said some names, but this guy calling people out, is like a mouse calling you out. You don't hear it, nobody cares. And it's like, okay, whatever. Empty words this guy says so far because we haven't seen him do anything. And last week, like they said, he wrestled in his black pants and his sweatshirt, and he got beat up by Cameron Grimes. So
exactly, we don't believe that he's a wrestler, so that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a big issue. So let's move on to
transitions to like I was gonna say just transitions to like a manager because he can talk, but it's like what he says we don't care about.
No, it's true. I agree with you. Like they should actually do something different with him, or at least get him like a wrestling attire or something like that he can be a little better when it comes to that. So let's go to Zion King. Now he actually didn't make his official debut because he debuted a few weeks ago. Remember, he fought Boa, and then he actually was about to fight May Yim. So like it's not like his first match, but he fought Oni Lorcan, and in a pretty quick fashion he got the win. So you can tell that like the figures or like the people that are NXT own originals, like they're being treated like a little crappy here because they are trying to push the newer stars.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I was thinking too, because we see Pete Dunne. I mean, we saw the dissension there, But now we just see Oni Lorcan, Danny Burch. I guess they're not even a tag team anymore. They're just rest jobbing to put guys over, and that's a shame. I mean, this was still a good match. I like this guy, but I think they try to portray him as a babyface a little bit on commentary, but Wade talks about him like he's a prick. So, but it's like, but Wade's the heel commentator, because I think this guy should be a heel. He walked in with all the hot ladies were like, "Oh, you're so legit," and then some fat guy cuts in front of him and he beats the shit out of the fat guy. So it's like, I mean, to me, that's not like a baby face. That's kind of like beating up a fat guy.
It's kind of like a prick or something like that. It's like not a fully baby face, because the baby face that always does the right thing, always behaves, always is polite, always
baby face would have been like, "Hey man," and challenged him to a match, not beat him up
exactly. It's more like a dude that knows that he's let's say powerful, strong, and then he uses that to his advantage. But we'll see. Zion debuted, not debuted, but he gets a win over Oni Lorcan. That sucks to be Oni, but there you go. Or AEW bound. There's a lot of AEW bounds, or not even main roster. It's just like, hey, bro, trim the fat, bye-bye, have a good day.
Yeah, the problem is their jobbers aren't just jobbers. They're guys who we actually care about, and they're jobbing to these new guys who we don't care about.
No, yeah, exactly. So that's what I feel is, and to move on to the next thing, we got to see MSK, and I gotta tell you, honestly, these are the worst tag team champions in NXT history. They look plain and they look goofy. They don't look serious. They don't look, like champions.
How are these guys?
That's maybe why I don't respect them that much.
Now, tell me if you agree with me. I feel like these guys were portrayed, even by themselves, not saying it's WWE's fault, but portrayed better in Impact than they are here. I feel like in Impact, I enjoy them.
No, they're way better.
Yeah, I'm like, here they're
way better.
They're so obnoxious. This was awful. They're saying oh, we're disrespected. They must listen to Rope Break. Yes, we don't like you. They're disrespected, and they're like, oh, we're the best, blah, blah, blah. Anybody who wants to step up. Again, the Grizzled Young Veterans come out, cut the same promo. We like them, but to me, you might still like them, but to me, they're the team that cried wolf. I've heard it 100 times. You never get the job done. I don't care about you anymore. I know you're just going to be a jobber. And they get interrupted by Carmelo Hayes and what's his partner's name?
Yeah, Carmelo Hayes and his buddy right there. Also, now they're trying to be a tag team. He mentions also that he has the with the contract and everything. He's like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory. All of that, he has the ticket, to get a championship opportunity. Then we got to see these guys also. It's another tag team. So all of them end up brawling, really WWE Monday Night Raw booking and interesting. And of course, what is going to happen, Paul? There's going to be an 8-man tag, right? So that's what they're going to do. They always find a way to make it look even more uninteresting. And there you go, 8-man tag. I don't it's Briggs and Jensen with MSK. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Trick Williams. There we go. There's the name. I don't know how they expect this match is going to be, except it's going to just end in a DQ. I really don't see anybody winning, because Briggs and Jensen, they want the tag belts. I feel like this is just going to end in a big brawl, and there's no way the two heel teams are going to, work together. So this is just a clusterfuck. This is so stupid. It should have been some kind of thing that were they're all screaming at each other. Regal says, I don't care, what night do you think this is? We don't just come out here and demand matches, shoot at Monday Night Raw. I would. And then be like, this is bullshit. We're going to have, matches to settle this to, get a number one contender. There's no order on this show. Again, that's why, it feels like Monday Night Raw, and it's really hard to get into. And like you said earlier at the top of this, especially when that's who your tag team champions are.
Oh yeah, it's really hard, like you said, to get into. Is an interesting, but let's talk about Raquel Gonzalez, and she's cutting a promo. She's gonna have the championship match with Frankie, and then you see Mandy Rose, and she just walks by, also with the members of Toxic Attraction, and then you just see right there, it looks good on you, but it looks better on me. So she's saying, hey, at some point I'm gonna challenge, but we'll actually find out that day sooner than when we thought. That was good, and then they come out for the championship match that they're gonna have with Io Shirai and Zoe Starks. So what did you think about this? I think Gigi is really, really strong as a tag team, but like you said last week, they should have put the titles on them. It would have made more sense, because you're strengthening the group, you're solidifying the group. You're not doing that anymore. So what do you think?
Yeah, I really would have done it, especially with what we're gonna see. But maybe because I still think Zoe Starks and Io Shirai are better suited in the singles division. maybe they're going to call them up, but, why would you call them up, with being, the tag champs? So, that would have been the perfect opportunity to drop it, to make this group look strong. I mean, the match was all right. Of course, we saw Mandy Rose get involved. Did it turn the tide? No. Like we said, the champs still retained. But I really don't know what they're going to do with them. Io Shirai and Zoe Starks, they feel lost. Like I said, these tag belts feel cursed. I felt putting them on Toxic Attraction would have been the first real team to be like, okay, they're really pushing them because they're pushing the sex appeal. Mandy Rose, we knew she was going to challenge for the belt. So the women's tag team would be featured in the main event of the women's division. This would have been the first real time for those belts to shine. We didn't see that. So I hope we see more because both these women are extremely talented. I mean, they could be feuding, over the NXT Women's Championship, but here we see them, the tag champs, which I don't think is the right role for them, but apparently whoever booking, Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon, Triple H maybe from the hospital, I don't know, whoever's booking this, but, I guess they thought that was the right choice.
Yeah, it was the right. I mean, like the big moonsault this time, she actually hit it. She hit it decent, so there you go. They retain. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, but like I would much rather, like you said, if we're pushing a different agenda, we're pushing different people, it would have been the right opportunity to make this group.
Then I think, and also you could have called these two up. Raw and SmackDown desperately need women. In these rosters.
Give one, they won the one show, they won to the other. You're right. So let's go to the best part of the show, according to Jean-Paul Egg, and that is true because this guy is presented so serious, and he's already presented as like the next big thing, and that's Brownbreaker. And the one thing about this guy is like they're trying to step away of the side of his legacy with like the Steiners and everything, but despite of that, they're really pushing him big time. They believe that like everything he has is like he's ready for like a main roster. He's ready to carry NXT in this new concept that the NXT 2.0 is, and he says that he's eyeing to like the NXT Championship. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, the best comparison I heard is he looks like Rick and he talks like Scott. That's like the best comparison because it's true. He cuts a great promo. He's like, Ciampa, you want a friend? Buy a fucking dog. Okay? He's like, I'm not going to be your friend. He's like, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after that NXT Championship. A great promo. How can you not like? That's why I said this guy is one of those things where I'm not comparing him to Roman Reigns, but it's every segment he's in, you go, okay, this is good. He's either going to give you a good match, good promo, good at least energy where, okay, you believe it. He's a person you're watching, you believe it. I mean, you believe Toxic Attraction's really hot. That we definitely believe, but
exactly.
Brownbreaker, he's great. Everything with him so far I've enjoyed.
And we heard from Tommaso Ciampa like the reply also, like he was from FaceTime, from Facebook Live he was, and he was just talking about. I mean, I like the one thing that he said. Hey, it's like we're putting this guy in the Hall of Fame, but like, hey, we gotta hold on to it. It's way too soon. I mean, if he's gonna have a great match, he's gonna have a great lengthy rivalry with Tommaso Ciampa. That's fine because that's what we need. He's like the future, and Tommaso Ciampa is kind of like the present. It makes the whole sense in the world. It's a new opportunity.
To me, I would give him the match, maybe in 2 weeks from now, maybe next week. They announce it for the following week. And obviously, I would say Ciampa needs to retain. You're not going to go crazy here. And then you book something long-term. You build to maybe a big pay-per-view like WrestleMania weekend. Then Ciampa can, what is that, April? That's how many months from now? Ciampa had a good title reign. Okay, that, by then Breaker has a couple feuds, a bunch of matches under his belt on TV here. He's only going to get better. To me, that would be the perfect time. Then you can tell that story like, oh, I didn't get you the first time, but the second time, I had your number, old man. So, I mean, that would be, to me, the perfect story. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully not give it to him right away. But
no, yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I absolutely agree with that. So, like, they need to just, I mean, the idea of the feud is potentially really good, but they need to, like, book it right. They need to present me, like, every single week.
Almost like a Walter and Ilya. Like, you tell that long-term feud.
You give me pieces of it, so like at some point when it's ready.
Yeah, 10 months I think they said in between the two matches.
Yeah, it was true. Yeah, they were a long time. So like we'll see what happens, but I mean you see like still the teases between the two. It's interesting, it's good. So like we're really happy for what's going on that end of the show. Then we got to see like this guy right here, like May Yim, and also like this guy Usher, I think is his name, or help me out here with the name.
Oh, I don't even remember. Yeah, he's that guy who these characters are so pointless. He's the one who he teaches the class, and he called out Odyssey Jones, and they're like, "Oh, didn't you lose?" And he's like, "Shut the fuck up! Who have you ever beat, you piece of shit?" He swears. That's his gimmick, I guess. He's a school teacher that swears. he had this match with Boa. Yeah, he gets knocked out of the ring. May Yim sprays the mist in his face. He goes back in the ring.
Yeah, the Green Mist, yes.
Yeah, he gets taken out. And, Boa gets a win here. And to me, this just feels so out of place. You see, the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ring, guy here with, the little mystic. And then you see, this school teacher. It's like you took two random creative characters in WWE 2K and put them against each other. It feels so random. It feels so out of place. What even is this?
Well, no, it's not good. That's what it is.
If anything, what's his name? Who sits in the chair and talks about this is a safe space? Him and the school teacher should be feuding because they probably work at the same school.
Yeah, no, it makes more sense in the world that they will do that. But this is just like this part of the shows, like you said, the segments that they should just cut out. It's not needed. I mean, I know you're portraying the guy, but you're portraying the guy already as jokes. Try to be more wrestling related. Try to be more serious. At least present the story a little better, so it's more enticing. But like they don't do that. They don't like to do that. Why would they do that? They hate that. So there you go. Let's go to actually the Cruiserweight Championship match, and we're going to see Roderick Strong going against Waller. So this was actually pretty decent. Roderick Strong is always a great wrestler. He can carry any type of feud, anything like that. But in the end, we knew that he was not going to lose the championship that he just won last week. But a good show for Waller that, he got a video package, also high take risk. I'm the one that puts everything on the line. It's a good opportunity for me. My debut match is going to be a championship match. Who can do that and all? But in the end, we got to see stunners, we got to see all of that. Big knee from Roderick Strong, Diamond Mine. He keeps the championship, and he's actually looking strong. And it's really ironic that out of all the members on the Undisputed Era, he's the one that is looking the best.
Yeah, I mean, this match definitely wasn't bad. I thought, Waller, it was like, especially if you wouldn't have had that match with him with Drake Maverick, where he was like, oh, yeah, and Maverick was like, oh, don't be bullshit. To me, that was like the worst thing to debut him. You would have had these video packages, oh, I'm a daredevil, I do all this crazy stuff, I surf on the biggest waves, I skydive, all this craziness, thrill seeker, okay, badass, he's a good-looking guy, so the chick's watching, oh, okay, legit. And it's like, I understand the appeal with this guy, but, just to debut him like that was bad. And, good showing here with Roderick Strong, though, so, okay, maybe I'll forgive the first thing, whatever, all right again, but, we're, like we said, every match is a star who we know and we like against somebody who is brand new to us, and I don't want to say he's being forced down our throat, but we're seeing these people every week, and it's like, okay, we got to get to like these people fast because it's who we're seeing.
No, it's really hard to get invested into this because there's way too many people that are new.
Because normally when somebody debuts on the show, you have an entire roster. Okay, there's 2 new debut people. Okay, this is like half the roster is new.
So it's a different concept. We'll see how it does. We'll see how it lasts. I don't know rating-wise if it's doing good or not. I mean, the first week did it really good, but now it's starting to go down. So we'll see. LA Knight is another guy that had a pretty promising debut. It was an opportunity for him to be the leader, be one of the main eventers in this brand. No, it was never the case. I think just you and me were the ones that were pushing LA Knight because now he's gonna have a match with Odyssey Jones, and I mean it makes sense, but I know Odyssey Jones is going to go over, so LA Knight is going to keep going lower and lower into the rankings and everything. But I'm not a fan of that because LA Knight, I don't think that he even signed up for this. You know what I mean? That was not the intention for him to do this.
Oh yeah, definitely no. That was when he signed. I don't think any of these guys. This was completely out of left field. That they're like Triple H, you're done. But no, I mean I think. LA Knight's going to give Odyssey Jones the best match he's ever had, but the unfortunate thing is he's going to lose. And he's one of those guys who's so good. Last week, or not last week, excuse me, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago would have been the perfect time, to even make him the NXT champ. I think he would have been great. He's a great promo. He's a great wrestler. But they went with the safe bet in Ciampa. And like you said, this guy, he should have been up there, and he's just going to lose here. And, what do you do with him? Because we know they're pushing Odyssey Jones. He's going to get his championship matches, all his opportunities. But LA Knight, I feel like he's going to be one of those who goes, okay, how long was my contract? 3 years, okay. I'm just counting the days.
No, yeah, exactly. So, it's frustrating for us that we actually...
Unless it's one of those things, he's going to get called up. You know, maybe we'll see. Oh, okay, yeah. Even though he gets drafted, he won't debut. He'll have this match, and then maybe the following week. You know,
maybe it will be the following week. We'll see what happens, like you said. But like also, we're gonna see like the debut of this brand new talk show. This will just go really quick because this is one of the things that like they need to get rid of. It's not wrestling related. It's just like it's just like a mockery of like the shows like they talk about gossip, all of those things like Ellen, like like E News and all of that, and that's lashing out with Lash Legend. I want to see these girls wrestle. I don't need this like, oh yeah, like I just have my show and I talk about gossip about Cora Jade and Tyler and all of that. I don't want to see this. It's not what I'm looking in my wrestling show. And we said that Dynamite, like at least they're straining the way, like you said before, because they had like stupid things like this, but this is just bad. And I don't think as a wrestler, if you put me in this type of storylines, you're going to be happy, because I wouldn't. I just wouldn't be happy. I don't know how you felt, but this for me like is with the one of the negatives of the show.
No, why do you think that Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, they only had like one feud, that Baron Corbin, Lacey Evans feud, and then done? Because they were probably like, you know what, we don't want the relationship being a thing on TV every week. We don't respect us as human beings. And Vince and them were probably like, okay, legit, no more. Oh, you have the baby, congratulations, but done. They don't. It's not a storyline, and because I think it does put a strain, even if it's not a big thing. Because if some people see this relationship, you're gonna have people that write in and be like, "Oh, this is bullshit. I don't want to see this. You're bullshit. He's bullshit. Whatever." You're gonna get a lot of hate that you wouldn't get if your relationship wasn't portrayed on TV. So, I don't know. I mean, but they're just, again, they're trying to sell, the sex appeal with Toxic Attraction. Here we, the whole banging and the sex honeymoon storyline with Dexter Lumis and all that. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess they think that this is the same thing, but I don't think people are really into this.
No, I'm not, exactly. So, like, it's not good. So, like, let's move on to the next one. And then we got to see, a match. And that was, like, Rich Holland with, like, Kyle O'Reilly. And this, it was just barely advertised. And Kyle O'Reilly just jumped Rich Holland in the end. I mean, really, like, 5-6 minutes of a good match. Pete Dunne was also, like, of course, like, like, try to, like, get, like, that Kyle O'Reilly to, like, not be focused. Just, get, like, the factor that will make him like lose the match, but in the end, actually, with like a small package, we know that's the most effective move in the WWE. I'm sorry, like that's like he gets the win, but in the end, he gets beat up by like Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly, and then Von I got the name.
Von Wagner.
Von Wagner. There you go. Von Wagner is the one that comes out, so it's gonna be a tag team match. Again, another one that is uninteresting. Like Kyle O'Reilly, the fact that ever since he split up from Adam Cole and everything, the Undisputed Era, he's looked the worst. I mean, with like Finn Balor, it was okay, it was decent, but this is just bad.
Yeah, he was another one too in that Fatal 4-Way. You want to start young. You want to have like a guy who, to me, is honestly in the middle. Maybe he's older than he looks, but that's still fine. That works to his advantage because he looks like he's young. So, he can be the gap between all the new guys and then all the old guys that are there. He would have been the perfect guy to be champion. The fact that he was, not in the match because he got beat up, but the guy who beat him up, Pete Dunne, was still allowed to be in the match instead of just taking him out, having it be LA Knight versus Ciampa. But anyway, that's a whole like 3 weeks ago. But, them as a tag team, I don't know. I don't care for it. They're really pushing Wagner. To me, that's a whole Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, Johnny Ace thing because the guy's huge. They're like, oh, look at the size of him. He's massive. Let's push him. But he needs to be a partner to the guy who can actually wrestle. And I'm not saying Wagner's bad. He's not like Great Khali bad or anything. But, again, why should I care about this big guy all of a sudden? Just because
and they're going to make it a tag team match. So it's pretty predictable. It's just bad. And it's not a good show. We got to admit it.
Again,
but, like Tony D'Angelo.
It's
very like Monday Night Raw. Like, Tony D'Angelo is going to finally debut next week because it's about time. We've seen 3 weeks of the same promo, the same Italian stuff. So finally, he's going to debut. Hopefully, he gets the win. So let's go.
Probably over Danny Burch.
Yeah, exactly. With Danny Burch, 1, 2, 3, and done. And the former tag team champions, actually, we've been calling for that. Triple H is probably, that's why he has those heart problems. Because of all the 4-6 years of work. Really portraying, selling this brand as something legit, where like the newer stars like get developed, and then you have the future right there to come to this. In a matter of like a month. At least that's my take on it. Let's go to the championship match. Raquel Gonzalez against Frankie Monet. Pretty good showing between the two. Frankie had like a really good match. Raquel is good at selling. Is good at like helping her out. The two have like different styles, but at the same time, they understood each other pretty well. And Frankie dominated for most of the match, but then you got to see a little bit of comeback of Raquel. You see the tornado right there. You see this time she didn't kill Frankie because maybe the boobs help out, but like she didn't do the same thing that with Xia Li. But in the end, Paul, like, of course, the big chokeslam power bomb, 1, 2, 3, and Raquel retains. Something that we were actually a little bit shocked. I don't want to say huge, but yeah, we had a little bit of surprise factor because we thought maybe Raquel will lose and then she will move up to the main roster.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was honestly thinking whoever loses this is going to get called up. So, I mean, I'm going to say maybe Frankie gets called up. We'll see. I think, both of those brands, like I said earlier, are in dire need of, some new talent in the women's division. So they're going to call up some people. And, if you're not pushing Frankie in that main event because of what we saw immediately following this, I would say call her up. She's talented enough. She can cut a promo. She can wrestle. She's been wrestling how long? She's not one of these new people they signed off the street or they signed from a different sport entirely. So, I mean, I think she's ready.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And after that we saw one more time we got to see attraction. We got to see Mandy Rose, we got to see Gigi, we got to see the older member. So like they came and this is like pretty much Jumper. And this was good because at least like they're pissed off because they didn't win the tag team titles. And then Mandy grabs the NXT Women's Championship. So is she finally gonna have a championship opportunity? Is she finally gonna be able to look better, like be like the main eventer that like she was always trying to be in the main roster, but unfortunately she couldn't. So that to me is interesting. It's a good opportunity for Mandy, like to step away from like all like Sonya Deville and her, all of those things, like the tag team with like Dana Brooke, all of that. So this is good for me. I like this.
Yeah, this is finally somebody coming. So, I mean, Finn Balor did it too. It just took him a lot longer, but this is finally somebody showing up and saying, hey, I'm here. I want to be the champion, and I'm coming for that belt. And, within a couple weeks, we see she already formed the group, and, they beat up the champion, and she held the belt. And like we saw the promo too, it looks good on you. It would look better on me. We already see how it looks on her. And I don't think it looks half bad. So if she would drop it to Mandy, I mean, hey, Mandy.
I wouldn't mind because
I wouldn't hate it. Yeah.
That would be a way to thank Mandy for all the work that she's been doing in all these years.
That'd be like, thanks for making out with Otis.
Exactly, like like the Otis thing, all of that. And I mean, it's a way to say whatever, like maybe we thought that like you were not. She's not the greatest wrestler in the world, but at least she's decent enough to have a decent match. That's what it was.
And she's very attractive, so you can have her on TV almost every week as your women's champion, and then that might get a lot more viewers.
Exactly, and that demographic that you're targeting is so hard. 18 to like 50 years old.
Oh, I bet they are.
No, exactly. So there you go. You want this, like, hey, show her in a bikini every single time, and then you see that your ratings will go to the roof. So family, this is the NXT review. So thank you for watching. Thank you for every single thing that you do for the channel. And don't forget, tomorrow we have AEW Dynamite. Hopefully, a show that like, hey, it's actually months ago. I don't think that we will ever be able to say that, but AEW, a show that is way better than these shows. But there you go. This is like how life happens. This like turns ins, turns outs of life, and there you go. So like don't forget to keep subscribing, hit the bell for notifications, and where else can they find us?
And then follow us on all of our social media. Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok, and of course right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
And you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is